Good evening, everybody. Vampire YGO here again, coming at you with a Buster Blader deck profile. Before we get started, I'd like to say thank you to everyone again for the likes, dislikes, comments, subscribes, and all that. I appreciate all the feedback, especially on the recent Unchained profile. I will be coming up with an updated version of that and an updated version of the Evil Eye Unchained as well. But without further ado, let's get right into it. This is just I would say the base kind of core that you would run for the Buster Blader profile to do the extra deck lock slash synchro fusion lock that you have with the Buster Dragon and the Destruction Swordsman fusion. So this is kind of just to show you how to build at least a standard core, and then you can build around it for other options, because there are multiple ways to play the deck. This is actually probably the least best way to play the deck. The best, in my opinion, would be the Crusadia Dragon Link variant. I'm also going to be doing a profile of that soon after this one, most likely in this same day here. And then the other option is a Rocket Dragon Link Buster Blader profile that I've seen. And there's also a Pendulum option that I've seen as well, but I've not seen too many profiles for that. It's mostly the Crusadia Buster Blader, as a Chain Link would say, is the most optimal way to play the deck. And then, so we'll start it off. We've got two Buster Blader, got the Battle Pack 10, and then the original first edition Pharaoh's Servant. This is my original one. This is one of my favorite artworks back in the day as a kid. Especially, I also usually used to like ultra rares over secrets and everything as well, but man, it's hard to deny these days that the secret does look fire. So, variants wise, some people run 1, 2, and 3 of this card. I think 2 of this and then 2 of the other, the Destruction Swordsman Buster Blader version, are just a perfect amount. It's just for the average core at least. And then obviously, you know, his effects. You get the 500 attack and defense for the dragons. And then I run 2 Buster Blader, the Destruction Sword Master. Awesome artwork. Basically, this guy's pretty cool too. He'll be, I guess, part of the end board that you can go with versus the standard. You usually won't see him used in the Crusadia or the other Dragon Link variants, but basically he's a Buster Blader monster when he's on the field or in the graveyard, and then if he destroys an opponent's monster by battle or card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can target one of those destroyed monsters and equip it to this card, and then you can basically remove that monster and then destroy all monsters your opponents with the same type as that monster that was sent to the graveyard. And then same attack and defense as the original Buster Blader. He's just and I guess in the depending on situations, whether you want someone that has a higher attack because he gets the effect of the boost, or if you want someone that can wipe the board depending on what monster that you had equipped to them. And then we run the best, I guess, Whelp Searcher for the deck. 3 Buster Whelp of the Destruction Swordsman. I also like the artwork a lot on this one too. The little, basically, if you look throughout the story artwork on all the Buster Blader cards, it's really cool. It's kind of like these little dragons, or maybe like 1 or 2 different dragons, essentially, that he's like raising, and then it kind of seems like maybe as if there was one he had raised that ended up becoming, you know, large and enraged and ended up turning against him. Or essentially he just kind of has multiple different dragons, and that's just a bad dragon that these ones are kind of helping him fight. But this one is, when this card is normal summon, you can add 1 Destruction Sword card from your deck to your hand, except the Buster Whelp Destruction Swordsman. And then also, basically, you can tribute this guy off the field to special summon one of these guys from your hand. Or I think graveyard as well, yeah. Usually it's going to be from the hand most of the time, because you want the Buster Blader that's in the graveyard for the trap effect to get out basically your fusion lock. And then also, if this card is in your graveyard and you control a Buster Blader, you can discard 1 Destruction Sword card and special summon this. Also, as you can see, it is a tuner. If you don't have the trap card to bring out the synchro, you can go about that effect and then just synchro them away. But like I said, this core variant is very limited to the end board. You're not going to be anywhere near what you can end with when you go with the Dragon Link variants, but you need 3 of this guy. You want to see him. And then I guess 3 of what people would probably call the best card in the deck that everyone's kind of going nuts over for, obviously Union Carrier, because I would say Konami kind of maybe missed over that part of the effect with the equip variant. It's just when it's equipped to any monster versus all the other effects are related to Buster Blader, so they probably should have just kept it locked to the Buster link so that this basically doesn't get hit by the ban list, because you know it's going to get abused by any deck that can create Union Character, which is probably about 60 to 70% of the decks out right now. So I'm pretty sure this will either get hit to 1 or get completely banned off of the list there. Because I mean, if you have cards like Artifact Sanctum and Scythe out, I mean, the least you could do is maybe keep one of these so you don't just destroy the Buster Blader deck. It doesn't completely ruin the deck. With the lock of the fusion and the synchro, it's pretty hard to get over as well, especially if things like hand traps in the hand when you end your board. But this card definitely is the icing on the cake. But this one and the other one that I have as well that's in the deck are basically, like I said, specific to Buster Blader and have very similar effects. One versus the extra deck, one versus the graveyard. And you can target one Buster Blader monster you control if this card is in your hand or on the field and equip it to it. And then while this card is equipped to it, your opponent cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck. And then while this card is equipped to a monster as well, you can unequip it to special summon it. And then obviously the fact that you lock your opponent out of the extra deck when it gets searched from Union Carrier, it just whips this guy straight out of the deck straight to one of your monsters. And if it's in the graveyard as well, the Synchro Buster Dragon can take this from your graveyard, so it's good to have things like Dragon Ravine and Foolish Burial, send it to the grave just in case you didn't draw it, and then you can use Buster Dragon's effect to take this from the graveyard and equip it to, I guess, any of your monsters that you are in the better situation for. This one's actually pretty cool too. I have it again. This is just kind of to showcase the core and all the Buster monsters and effect cards that they have, and you can kind of build around it and create your own variant or kind of go off of the Crusadia one as well. But the Wizard Buster Destruction Sword is awesome. I love the artworks on these, but as you can see, it's another, they kind of look different. They don't look identical. Hair, everything like that, their little magic, and even their horns are slightly different. But this one's also got the dual blades too, which is pretty cool. This one is the same exact thing as the Dragon Buster. This one is basically, when it's equipped to the monster or one of your monsters, it locks the opponent out of the graveyard. So we should all match up things like that, but it's kind of just maybe a little redundant because even if you play Shaddoll, this locks them out of their extra deck. This just locks them from, you know, I guess decks that maybe don't rely on the extra deck as much, maybe things like dinosaurs and stuff like that. This would be very good against Cosmos, things like that. Most decks don't actually run that guy. I don't think the Crusadia or the other Dragon Link builds run that one. And then obviously just for the dragon combos here, this just obviously boosts any deck that's related to dragons. And then you know what he does. Awesome card. We got two more one-ofs. The duos, the White Dragon, Wyverburster, and the Black Dragon, Collapse Serpent. And then again, you know what they do. They cycle themselves or each other. Just another body to get on board to link with, basically. You're going to try to, like I said, I'll show you what your end board would kind of just look like a little later. Oops. Smacked my camera. Let me refocus. Sorry guys, I don't have the editing down yet to take that out either. Enjoy the comedy while you can. And then 3, Crusadia Draco. He's awesome. Like I said, this is just another way to help you get your links going. You basically need at least a link 2 pointing down by the end of your turn to get the combo off. You cannot have the link 1. And then definitely in Dual Overload, once the new Protection Whelp or Destruction Whelp that comes out, which is the link for the Buster Bladers, oh man, it's going to help a lot. It's a link 2 arrows down, 1 in each corner, and the effect is actually pretty darn good. And it's especially good in time too. But for those of you who don't know, the Crusadia Draco special summons, or any of the Crusadia monsters special summon themselves to arrows that links point to, and then you get to search as well with it. But it's mainly just for the link aspect. And then this is kind of like a filler spot here. I put one more Crusadia just to kind of have the combo with these guys here. Basically, it also has the effect to pop itself, which is pretty cool. It's a little bit more useful, but it's just another link tool. And then that would be it for the monsters besides 3 hand traps. And again, obviously this meta is, I don't want to say in shambles now, but because of the virus and everything getting shut down. But I'm not sure if everyone has heard most regionals and nationals and YCSs have been canceled until further notice, which further notice is considered to them, I think April 6th is what the newsletter for them said today. But so it kind of depends, you know. Ash Blossoms are always still really good, but 3 Droll and Law kind of cover Heroes, Spiral, Shadalls, in most aspects, I guess Shadal Invoked, Dinosaurs, Rockets. Droll kind of covers a huge base. Sometimes Ash doesn't really, you know, put a stop to certain things, especially, like I said, Heroes and Spiral, and Invoke Shadalls. But it's kind of whatever you feel that you're going with there. Obviously, you have things like DD Crow and another actually pretty darn good card that would be good in this deck that I think that you can also even replace this with would be the Cypher Gear Gamma and the normal version, and then that would be a pretty good card to have. Obviously, you can use those for the link as well, because you pretty much can end with the Lambda too. Is more if you have like your backup plan, but you'll usually kind of want to end with like the Hieratic Seal. And into the spells or the magics. This is kind of, I just showed this again. This one, I don't really use this in the Crusadia variant or the Dragonlink variant as well. This one's not used as much. It's pretty good because it's a quick play spell card, but it's kind of like a, I don't know, what do you want to say, a Monarch Stormforce / Super Poly kind of thing without the negated effect, or fact that opponents cannot activate in response. But you fusion summon 1 fusion monster that lists Buster Blader as material from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or graveyard. And then you can send 1 card from your hand to the grave to add this card from your to your hand, and then you can only use each effect once per turn. It's kind of like a, if you didn't get your Traps Last Dish in the core card, it's a pretty good card. And then this variant also kind of changes depending on what version you're running. And the base version, you definitely would want to run 3. You want to get as many Dragon Revivals as you can. Obviously, you know what this card does. It is amazing. Artwork on it is really sick too. I really love all the whole story or arc behind the Mech Knight / Crusadia / World Chalice. Oh man, they look awesome. And it's kind of like the Armaduke is just somehow ascending into something else, maybe. And you have 1 World Legacy Succession. You can also run maybe like 2 of these as well if you need, but I think 1 is good, and then 1 Monster Reborn, kind of to go with the World Legacy Guard Dragon thing there, just for revival purposes. Again, you're going to try to just basically have 2 spaces open for a link, so you want as many ways as possible when you're running this variant. The 1-for-1, obviously, just to get out your tuners or your level 1s, even though the effect doesn't trigger off because it's a normal summon, you can still get it on board, and then you contribute it, and then get a Buster Blader on board. The Upstart, just for consistency, you're gonna run the Foolish Burial as well to try to get the what's its name, the Destruction Sword, not Wizard, sorry, Buster, or I guess Wizard depending on your situation, but you're mostly, you're just gonna lock them out of the extra deck. And then, like I said, Dragon Ravine is very good as well for that scenario. And then, last but not least, for these spells, we got 3 Called by the Grave, because this deck is extremely prone to hand traps, and it is, you know, a lot of decks can play through an Ash Blossom or an Effect Veiler or an Imperm here and there, but this deck is severely slowed down if you're just running the base Buster Blader deck. The Crusadia version can definitely play through some things, or the other Dragon Links, but not this one. I'm going to run into the traps now. We have 2 Destruction Sword Memories. It's pretty cool. If you look on this left one here, you'll see a difference. I actually have a misprint version. It's kind of looks, it's pretty cool, because at first I always like looked at it and was like, oh, it's kind of like some sort of battle blood spatter type thing. But if you look, it's actually the purple from the trap card. It looks like maybe the printer probably dripped on it. Maybe it was towards the end of the cartridge and it just had a little drip from the top of the actual printer head there. And yeah, it is purple if you look at it, but it looks kind of like red in this scenario because of the background. But I mean, artwork, like I said, is awesome. You see, obviously, Buster Blader's sword there, and this is the Destruction Sword Master here, it looks like. Obviously, comforting the dragon in some sort of scenario. Maybe like this would be a memory. Maybe that he's viewing. Maybe it's just some sort of battle that just happened with the other dragon. And, oh, I guess I should explain them first. Duh. This one is part of the, pretty big for the process for getting out your Buster Blader fusion here. What you do is you discard one Destruction Sword card to special summon one Buster Blader monster from the deck. But that's not the effect that you're going to be using. You can banish this card from your graveyard to fusion summon one Buster the Destroyer Swordsman from your extra deck by banishing fusion materials listed in the graveyard instead. So you'll basically take out one of your Buster Blader monsters, so either for Buster Blader or the Sword Master, and then you will just do any dragon in your graveyard. You usually just do Crusadia Draco, and you banish them with this card, and then you get to special summon the fusion. So it's kind of an in-sync combo with these guys right here. So you're going to want to run 3 of the prologue. And you can see, like, again, the artwork is kind of trippy here as well. It's like he's got the big dragon. It definitely does not look, you know, like it's in a good mood. And then he's got the baby there in the left side of the whelp. And he's kind of trying to, like, maybe do some sort of spell or something to kind of back it off so he can escape, it kind of looks like. But the prologue, the dragon looks like he's just getting rolling, especially with some of the other cards there. But basically how it works is you want this card on board, not essentially this one. This one would come from the deck. You send one Destruction Sword card and one Buster Blader monster from your deck to the graveyard, which you're going to send this and then a Buster Blader. And then you send them to the graveyard, and then you get to special summon one Buster Dragon, the Synchro. And then at the end phase of the next turn, that card would be basically, it's destroyed. But you have this card here. During the next turn, you remove this from play, and then you can protect the dragon from being destroyed there. But what happens is basically in chain is you'll set right when your opponent draws, you know, during the draw phase or standby, you hit prologue to send this in the Buster Blader. You remove the Buster Blader, the Destruction Sword memories, and a dragon from play. And then basically the chain would go, you special summon the fusion, and then the Buster Dragon will be special summoned, and then you have both on board. And they are pretty much very close to being locked out of at least any monster effects or attacking you at that point, because they're all going to defense, and then obviously you're going to have a pretty beefy Buster fusion on the board. And that would be it for those. You want to run 3 of this one. This is the one you want to get. Pretty much you're also just going to try to, the best board that you can really kind of do in this one is to go through your Saryuja play and then end with the Saryuja and the trap card on board. And then 2 Trap Trick to round off the trap cards. This is the rest for the main deck. 3 is just a little clunky. 5 is perfect. You definitely pretty much see this one. No matter what, you're going to see this or this in the hand, especially if you get the best play off, which would be the Saryuja combo to at least get some more draw. But obviously, you know, Trap Trick does just banish this, set, activate right away, and then get going. And then let's get into the extra deck. First one before we get into the Buster cards. I actually like to throw this in here as just some kind of, you know, again, it's like, so you don't run this one, I think, in the Guard Dragon variant. I've never put it in there, but I think it's kind of cool in this one, just in case you go second or have a, you know, a scenario where you kind of don't get what you need to get out the combo. You can definitely just, you know, send 3 dragons from either your hand or field to the grave and then make this bad boy. Just kind of some spice. Again, I've never really used him too much, but he is good for going second, or if you're just, you know, locked out of things you can do, but you still have some cards in hand. And then I run 2 of the Buster Blader, the Destroyer Swordsman. That's a name there. That is a mouthful. One of the dopest looking cards, though, all white armor and everything. He's all dragoned out with that. Looks like some sort of sword made out of multiple dragon teeth on top of it. And then this guy's a monster. Basically what he does is he must be, well, we'll just read him there so you can get the full effect. Must be fusion summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways. This card cannot attack directly, so he definitely can't attack directly, but when he does attack a defense position monster, it's piercing damage. And then obviously he gains 1,000 attack in defense for each dragon type monster your opponent controls or is in their graveyard. And then, like I said, if he attacks a defense position, it's piercing. It cannot attack directly. And then, what is the other also effect? If this card attacks, yeah, that's pretty much it. And then the main part would be all of the dragon monsters that your opponent controls would be stuck in defense position and cannot activate their effects, which is the main purpose of him in the Buster combo on there. Duh. And then 2 Buster Dragon, the Synchro. Only 1 printing of this card. It's pretty odd that you'd only see at least one, but I guess it's because the Buster Blader deck profile never really got much love. But this one's awesome. All monsters your opponent controls become dragon type, so obviously it works in tandem with the Destruction Swordsman, Dragon Destruction Swordsman. And then basically you can target one Buster card, like I said, the Whelp, that you'll target from your graveyard, and then equip it to one of your Buster Blader monsters, and then it is a quick effect, which is awesome. So basically, he goes on board, all your opponent's monsters become dragon, all dragon monsters essentially go to defense and then lose the activation of their effects there, and it's only for the monsters on board. So the second your opponent plays a monster, they're pretty much out of luck there. And then obviously it's pretty hard to get past that luck, but if you have the Whelp equipped to him as well, which is pretty much what you'll do right after you get them both on board, you'll go down the chain link, hopefully have the Saryuja, or like I said, a Hermetic Seal or a Lambda, and then you'll have these two, and then you'll equip the Whelp to him from the graveyard. And then just for other synchros, or if you get a chance to get a better board, you can end with Crystal Wing in there as well, depending on if you get the Successions and the Monster Reborns can give you a little boost to end with something like that, or just, last for the synchros, we added Hot Red Dragon Archfiend. This would definitely be a, what do you want to call it, a Boral Savage, but I do not have one. I got rid of him when he was extremely high. Just didn't need him, but yeah, that would definitely be in here. You guys know what they do. Some good negates. A Link Rebo, because you have plenty of Link ones in there. And then you have the Guard Dragon package, the LP and the Pisty for the Red MD plays. Obviously to get the Saryuja going. And then the Link ones. And then you have the Link 2s. These are just your, like I said, what you'll want to end on if you don't have the greatest board. One of these guys will be your best option because you need the 2 Link arrows to essentially get the fusion and the synchro on board. If you can only get one on board, it does not work, and then it cancels out your play because you've already activated both traps. Then the 1 Saryuja in the Crusadia build, you definitely go through 2. You want to run through 2 of them to make sure you get all your traps and get everything just to get full combo. It's just, obviously, why not take the boost while it's there? Or you can go 1 Saryuja and end on something like an Apollosa. And then your 2 finals, which is something you can do with this deck as well. It's just not as easy. Ending with the Apollosa and then getting it on board is, the whole lock in general is amazing. It's pretty much game at that point if you get Apollosa and the lock combo with the Whelp. And then obviously everyone knows what Boral Sword does. But that would be it for the extra deck. So, this is probably one of my longest videos here. I've just been yapping. The Buster Blader, it's just something I really been testing with a lot. It's an awesome deck. One of my favorites from back when I was younger, at least the card. Promo being token, obviously means Tree Nibiru. This variant too, you can definitely put this in the main deck. It definitely helped. I've definitely tried that before, but again, this is just kind of to show off the core and people can kind of take a look at and build around. Nibiru needs to be in every side deck if it's not in your main. Just a little going second tech here if you're playing a control. Throw the Danko down and then do your thing. Obviously, you know what to do there. It's one of the best looking artworks in my opinion in the game. Classic Danko. And then 3 DD Crow. Again, most of your side deck is all subjectional, or what's the word I'm thinking of? Subjective to depending on what your kind of locals is like and what kind of decks you think you're going to be seeing or playing more. Obviously, there's just a multitude of hand traps and things like evenly matched and traps like that you can use. There's actually, I think it's awesome that we have so many options that people can run. Definitely Sphere Mode is another option as well, but obviously another DD Crows for pesky graveyard cards. I think Orcus will be probably coming back with that Mekk-Knight Girsu card that's going to be coming out soon if they don't get hit on the list. 3 Twin Twister for obviously back row purposes. And then last for the side deck would be 3 Dark Roll and no more again, so you can just stop whatever negates that they have and then at least make your board. And then right when you end your turn, basically, activate the trap card, and hopefully they don't have anything that can stop it, at least on the board at that point too. But yeah, that would be the deck. I would appreciate everyone's opinion again. If you guys can give me some advice or any feedback, please just let me know. Thank you guys again, and thank you YouTube for your time. Again, I will be posting the Crusadia variant very shortly after this one as well. Thanks again, guys, and have a good night.